Bitcoin touches its tip for the first time in roughly 27 months on the 200 WMA. The Bitcoin Moon Boys are left broken and in shambles, as crypto traders worldwide let out a collective tear of what would have and could have been. And there's not one thing on these charts that is absolutely insane. There is literally too many to count. But what do they mean now? And when will the dumping stop? Give your grandma a big, fat, wet, sloppy kiss right on her lips, because if you trade crypto, she might be the only one left on the planet that still loves you. I'm your host, Scoots Magoo, and there comes a time in every Moonboy's life when he must look himself, herself, or themself in the mirror and ask, did I do the right thing? Did I buy the dip? Or am I just gambling? So if you guys are new channel, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, turn those ghost notifications so you never miss these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. And as well, if you guys are interested in amazing deals or bonuses, my goodness, if you've been shorting Bitcoin over the past 8 months, you've basically only made money, as Bitcoin has only gone straight down. Absolutely gigantic. And as well, if you are staking your ADA, make sure to join our pool to earn rewards. Not going to spend too much time on this because there are a trillion things going on in this market right now. And basically every second is exhilarating. Finally, we're seeing some excitement. It just so happens that the excitement is pain and sadness. But without any further ado, let's keep getting dumped on. Unbelievably dumpy. The big question now is, has Bitcoin set a bottom? As at this very second, Bitcoin has gone all the way down to $22,500, which is, so far on the daily, Bitcoin has experienced roughly about a 15% dump after already dumping cataclysmically over the past few months. And, I don't even know where to start. There's so many things. So first of all, we can take a look at the DXY, which is just again, actually, so far, not really broken out of this range, but retested again what we saw back exactly a month ago, actually, on May 13th. 2022. Today is June 13th, where we kind of topped out right at this level. The question now is, is the DXY going to start exploding here? I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't already. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't, considering so many things. But the bigger questions, why is Bitcoin dumping? When will it stop? And again, there's more than one answer to this. So first of all, again, we can take a look here, the SPX, and we saw this, we knew this was coming hours ago as we saw the futures market. You can see this massive gap here with the SPX, just getting completely dumped on. The SPX is down, an insane amount in just like the last week. The fact that the SPX is down 10% in like the last 4 days, guys. What is this? Crypto? Is this like a rug pull altcoin? It's the SPX. It's the S&P 500. It's down cataclysmically. It's down so much. So that's one thing. But if we look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, this is where there's the smallest amount of hope. The 200 weekly moving average is basically what many people have been calling as the ultimate bottom of the bear market, as a necessity, considering we touched there and broke below it back in March of 2020, which started the massive crash. I remember watching this live, and that was an experience. And so far watching this dump is pretty similar, except it's been much longer dumping and pretty straight down dumping as well. But remember, the bottom that was marked in December of 2018 of the bear market ultimately for Bitcoin was a little, right around $3,000 per Bitcoin, and that was right on the 200 weekly moving average, where at this second we've now touched this. If we go to this chart, if you zoom in really closely, again, we kind of just bounced right off of this level. It's like $100 off, but it's literally right at that level there. So, but the other big thing about this is we just talked about those two other macro bottoms. One, the crash, which was again fundamentally because of, again, stocks crashing also, which brought Bitcoin down. But this right here was specifically more Bitcoin bottoming in the bear market. And, this 200-week moving average is kind of like the ultimate dumpy indicator. But what we just saw as well is this. The weekly RSI is actually currently lower than it was both back in the 2020 crash and also back at the very bottom of the bear market of 2018. The weekly RSI has gone below both of those. So realistically, how much selling can there be? Because Bitcoin has already been dumping for the past 8 months. Realistically, how much more? And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that we can't keep dumping, because every time anyone said that over the past 8 months, it keeps dumping. So, I can't be saying that. I don't think anyone should be saying that at this point. However, all we're saying right now is basically we're breaking records in terms of dumpiness. But, you know, at this very second, it looks as though we are seeing the smallest little baby bounce, because that seems to be all we get these days with Bitcoin over the past 8 months is only baby bounces. But again, you see this kind of wicking a little back up here, right around $1,500 up in just the last few minutes because of this bounce at 22.5 roughly. So that's big. But again, there's something, I want to look at a few things here. So Bitcoin, everyone is looking for a bottom here. And I think Rec Capital had a really good point here, is that Bitcoin tends to wick significantly below the 200-week moving average, but kind of bottom around there. So a minus 14% wick this time around would translate to a roughly $19,000 Bitcoin. And the 28% wick would be around 15.5, which he's saying is kind of like the ultimate low. And again, I think at this point, it's reasonable to expect that we could see a massive wick down to those levels, as these wicks tend to do. Now, again, that doesn't mean, you know, if we look on this weekly chart, wicks like we saw back in 2020 and, you know, even right here, like a giant wick like this. And really in 2018, there wasn't quite as big of a wick immediately, but there was some pretty big wicks there. Basically, this massive crash we saw in March 2020 was about a 28% wick to the downside below the 200 week. So again, basically what he did right there is just did this and went down 28%, and that would take us to our target again at the very lowest of around 15,000 if that were to happen. So another thing that I think is important to note is that we saw Ethereum break below the highs that it set in the last bull market a couple of days ago. And now it's actually, you know, significantly even below those highs. If we look at Ethereum, right here, these were the highs, go all the way back, highs of 2018. And we're now below that. So the point of talking about that is that at this point, I think it's fair to say that the model is broken in terms of like this whole idea that Bitcoin can never go below previous all-time highs, because Ethereum just did it. Now, again, Bitcoin is different. Bitcoin's more significant. It's obviously different than the altcoins, but I think it's fair to say that the current environment, the macroeconomic environment, lends itself to breaking some of these models. And at this point, can we go below 20,000? It looks as though it would be silly to say we can't. You know, in a quick wick, I don't think we're going to be like trading below 20,000 for months and months, obviously. But again, nobody really knows. But a stronger bounce, the stronger the bounce we see today, the more confidence we can see in this market. And again, we still have this small bounce continuing. I'm recording basically, in my opinion, what I think will be like the middle of this bounce. I think it's literally going to be bouncing today. But yeah, still there's no signs that this market's reversing. And guys, I mean, realistically, if the SPX does not bounce, then it's silly to say that Bitcoin's going to pump. It's just very unlikely. Really, every Bitcoin analysis can be summed up over the last few months as it's following the stock market. It's not just Bitcoin. It's the entire. It's basically everything. Everything is getting dumped on. And again, we're right at the cusp. Luckily, it's not going to be boring right now, because we're going to get the ultimate decision to see if the DXY breaks out of this range, which again, I'm still shocked that it hasn't. To see if it breaks out of this range and to see how far the SPX can fall. How far the stock market can fall. And also, one thing adding to all of this, I'm sure many of you know, but Tether also released that Celsius it will not have an impact on USDT. I'm sure many of you are aware of Celsius and its basic collapse, right? It's another Luna 2.0, but here it is with Celsius. Again, I never promoted that, and I didn't have any money in that either, just like I didn't with Luna. But I think it's fair to say that any of these platforms promising, 10, 15, 20% returns just by doing that, it's not very... It's probably going to collapse. I mean, at this point, especially the longer the bear market goes on. And I hope that, in the future, people learn that that's probably not a great idea to keep doing that. But again, this is really the big moment. We've really exacerbated this run. We're down at the 200-week moving average. This is where we see if we actually get a bounce or if we just continue sliding into oblivion. New channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on those ghost notifications, never miss these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. As well, guys, if you're interested in any bonuses or deals, make sure to check out everything below. Remember, we actually are distributing Ape Society tokens. You can receive them through Drip Drop, but if you're staked in the pool, you are receiving them for the next, it'll be for about 35 epochs. So you have about 6 months to receive these tokens. And the earlier you stake your ADA, the more you'll earn. That's currently what I'm doing. My ADA is still staked. But without any further ado, that's it for me.